back to another segment of our vet project in our pet project series. Join with us here today is friend of the show, Dr. Levi Embry from the Embry Animal Clinic. Dr. Embry, thank you so much for joining us once again here on East Texas Now. So today is the first day of summer. Officially. I know socially, it feels like we've been in summer, a hot second, but it is officially the first day of summer. And with summer, especially in Texas, comes the heat, right? So we try really hard to keep our pets off the pavement when it gets too hot, or maybe give them like some shoes or things of that nature, just to try and protect them as much as we can from the heat, especially those really thick furry dogs like I have. We've talked about my German Shepherd. Tons of hair on that one. So today we just wanted to focus on the dangers that the heat can cause for our furry friends. Is this something that you run into quite often?
I wouldn't say often, but it does happen. You do see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with pavement, right? That's what we started this whole thing on. So what can happen when pets step on pavement that is too hot for them?
Yeah, so they can get, just like with people, they can get superficial or even partial thickness, burns. They can get burns on their feet, on their paw pads. So most dogs move quickly enough that, and cats move quickly enough that they don't get that, right? And so, but you do see that sometimes on animals that can't move for whatever reason, right? Okay. They are either they can't walk well, or you see it whenever they're confined to pavement, right? And so for whatever reason, and can't get off. So you can see that. So.
But it's not as common as people would think then.
It's not super common.
Okay. What about like things that we can put on our pets' paws if they're like going on a walk and things of that nature? I know I've tried to do it with my dog, and they do like the little show horse thing, and she hates it. She would rather just not go for the walk in that area. Is that something that is necessary? Because like you said, like burns on paws aren't the most common thing, but is that like a good practice to have?
I don't use them on my dog. Just stay off the hot spots.
Yeah.
So,
That makes sense, and it probably saves a lot of annoyance for our furry friends as well.
They hate the paws, or they hate the shoes.
Absolutely. So say that, maybe we are somewhere confined that we can't get off the pavement for an extended period of time. You see that they're doing the little, like, prissy, like, it's bothering them. It's a concern to them. Once we're back home, what signs or symptoms should we watch out for, either minor or severe, maybe a little bit of both, that we need to look out for to say, oh, yeah, something did happen. There is damage there.
Yeah, so a lot of times the burns can sometimes not show up for several days.
Oh, wow.
And so you may not know it. So, but a sign of a burn obviously be redness, tenderness right there on the paw. In more severe cases, it can cause necrosis of the skin, right? So it kind of kills the skin a little bit. So those are really bad cases. And then subsequent infection can set in and all that. But really, the big one you're going to see is redness of those paws.
Maybe, so if there is redness, if we're saying, okay, something has happened, we need to address it, minor or severe, is that something that we can address? Are there ointments that we do, or is that just to take your dog to the vet?
So I guess, in a very mild case, you probably could. You could put some ointment on there, something like that. But in more severe cases are going to need some pain management.
Right.
And a lot of that's going to be opioids, right? We use a lot of opioids in burns. We try to prevent a secondary bacterial infection, so that requires antibiotics, right? And then usually, in more severe cases, you have a bandage that you have to change, typically multiple times a day. So it can get very, very involved. Yeah.
And when you talk about ointments, putting ointments on pets in general, going back to my dog, because that's the only experience I have, she'll lick it off almost immediately. And so is it something that you wrap it up? Do dogs, are you supposed to wrap up paws? Do dogs breathe through their paws or need circulation? If you're trying to do something at home to ease that, how do you go about doing that without just really agitating your dogs?
Yeah, you're right. The topicals just give them something to lick off, right? So really, if you're going to do that, you probably should put it under a bandage. Bandages are hard on dogs. You can't say keep it dry and keep it clean. So especially on their feet. So that is an issue. The biggest, whenever I think about bandages we see coming in the clinic where somebody's treating at home and they're doing what they can. by bandaging it. The biggest problem we probably see with those bandages is that they are not changed frequently enough and they get wet. So if a bandage gets wet, it becomes just a haven for bacteria, and that infection can get started and go crazy. So if you're doing a bandage, you've got to keep those bandages changed pretty frequently.
Yeah, it sounds like it's, you know, almost more trouble than it's worth to try and treat it at home.
Yeah.
Now, if, you know, those redness, if there is redness, is it okay to just leave it as it is? Just try and, like, monitor if that there...
It probably is. The ones I see tend to be the more severe cases,
Right, because
right?
now they've brought it to the vet. That makes sense.
So, but a mild case you could probably treat, I would imagine, kind of like a burn, you know, on yourself, you know, maybe a little bit of SSD ointment or something like that, but maybe some aloe, keep it clean. Yeah. And that probably would work.
And then overall, you know, we always like to end with prevention of something, but overall it's just... do we test it out? I mean, I've heard that, like, you put the back of your hand on, like, the ground, and if it's too hot for the back of your hand, it's probably too hot for your dog's paws. Is that a good way to measure?
Yeah, it's probably a good rule of thumb. And really, you know, just if in doubt, stay off the pavement. You know, stay off the heat, or stay off the hot surface. The heat, you know, also. With heat, you can have hyperthermic dogs as well, right? Especially dogs that can't breathe well.
Right.
So like French bulldogs or bulldogs in general, brachycephalic dogs, they can't move enough air to cool off, and so you can see those dogs get overheated as well.
Man.
So, you know, if you have a dog that's kind of a slow-moving bulldog, maybe just keep them in the air conditioning, you know, and don't go outside at all. So.
Yeah, especially in this Texas heat. It does not play. Okay, so other than that, I think that we've fully covered it. When it comes to heat-related things, I know you said that it's not as common as we might think. Do you see a lot of cases during the summer of dogs' paws being injured, dogs' paws being burned, and is it concrete normally?
You can see a couple. I mean, we see a couple typically, and it would... blacktop, concrete, probably blacktop more frequently. Okay. But you really see more cases of dogs just getting overheated because they're outside, you know, and can't breathe, and either they have a collapsing trachea or they're a bulldog or something like that.
Yeah.
Not good.
Okay, well then we will continue to add this to the lower end of our summer dog worries here, and I'm glad to be able to talk, because I would have thought that it was a lot more frequent with dogs burning paws, especially just because it's so hot out there. So it's good to know that it's not, you know, as common as we know. Now we're going to continue our summer pet series here, same time, same place next week. Dr. Embry, as always, it's great to talk to you.
All right. Likewise.
All right, y'all. Now, if you have any questions regarding your pets and their summer needs, if you have any concerns, maybe you want some advice, here's how you can send in your questions. You're going to go, one second, right here, to Pet Project at KLTV or KTRE.com. Send in those questions, and you can see them back here same time, same place next week, always 12:30 on Thursdays. Other than that, guys, we will see you back there. We're going to take a short break and then head right back to some news coverage here this afternoon on East Texas.